How important is British military support in this war?
I believe that's with the United States, the core of the military equipment support. There are many nations who are helping us. Some of these nations within the European Union, some of them Canada, Australia, far distant nations. But the core of the assistance coming from here, from this island, and from the United States.
Okay. Those surface-to-air missiles that we were looking at there, how important have they been in the war?
This is yet another game-changing equipment. You remember in the first stages were in lows and anti-tank. Then we had to move up and up. The escalation is going up, and we are catching up with this trend. Now this far-reaching artillery, and nowadays the rocket systems, which allow us to reach out 80, almost 100 kilometers beyond the front lines.
Talk to us about what's been happening in the course of the weekend and over the last few days.
We're quite successfully moving up north, and now we're changed the direction to south, which allows us, from time to time to push here and go there. There are new dangerous spots like north of Ukraine, where Belarus, which is allied to Russia, is now massing up forces. Mostly Russians are coming through it, and they're endangering Kiev and northern part of Ukraine as well. Iranian drones are becoming very dangerous. They were setting them against the civilian cities. One of the small towns next to Kiev was just hit this night.
And do we know what happened as a result?
Oh, unfortunately, people are dying, mostly civilians. The fires everywhere, but we are trying to find the antidote against this. We understand that they will have them. Russians still have a couple of allies like Northern Korea, which recognizes the independence of these bits and pieces they stole from Ukrainian territory, Iran, Belarus, but still, even these ones, the pariahs, they are dangerous.
We've seen 4 referenda, and we're told that the people within those areas have voted by more than 90% in order to become Russian. What would you say in response?
I've read Putin's remarks that even he was surprised by higher turnout. And what I remember from what they have and how they conduct their elections and referendums is the most important part not to get over 100%. That's sometimes they wanted to show that the loyalty to prove the loyalty to his leader, their leader, in a way that they go all over those numbers. And again, people are coming to you with the Kalashnikovs and pointing where you have to sign. That's the result you receive.
We've seen some images, obviously too distressing to show at this stage, reportedly showing gold caps and teeth that were found in a town near to Izium, which has just been liberated. Suggestions that the teeth that were in a box in a room was part of a torture chamber by Russian soldiers. What do you know about it?
This is what's happening when we are freeing these cities, because Russians believe we will never get there. So they were committing all the atrocities, the rapes, the killing, mass killing, the tortures. They were burying people together in mass graves because they thought that they will cover it from everybody. Now we're uncovering more and more of it. That's something we were saying, that we have to be ready for the atrocities committed by these people. In most of the cases, they're coming here because, first of all, they're criminals themselves. Sometimes they've been taken from prisons, and Russians are just getting around and bargaining in the prisons, offering the people free ride in half a year if they survive in Ukraine. So we're not surprised that these atrocities are happening. What we want to do, we wanted the world to recognize this, and most probably to come with the tribunal, which would allow us to go after all these criminals, and the political elite, which is pushing this, the very bad tribe to Ukraine.
So do you think it is, you're suggesting it's Russian criminals that are carrying out these atrocities?
Very unfortunately, sometimes soldiers. Very unfortunately, there are sometimes the soldiers, especially when you mobilizing 300,000 people, they do, whatever, million of people will come. That's not professionals. There's somebody. Some of these people have this very bad record. Some of them are fleeing. You've seen probably the numbers. Hundreds of thousands of young Russians are trying to flee, not to be mobilized. But some of these, really, really strange personalities are getting it, and they are not controlled. And I believe that this is what Putin is actively promoting. They're trying to scare us off, our civilians and our military as well. But these unthinkable things, which are coming from, I don't know, centuries ago.
Are you completely comfortable that Ukrainian soldiers always behave in an appropriate manner?
I'm not 100% sure that everybody is behaving 100% pure. And that's one of the problems. We have to keep our people. And that's what we were saying from the very beginning to our own people. We have to win. At the same time, we cannot become them at the process. We have to have a moral higher ground. So if we know something, we are persecuting these people. And you know, sometimes when you lose everything, all your families, everything, you're getting back to the forces and you're trying to, you know, to pay the check. So we have to understand how we keep these people under total Ukrainian control, command control.
Where are we as far as investigating war crimes are concerned?
The problem with investigating the war crimes that we need the international support with investigators, as simple as that. We need people to help us to, you know, record all these atrocities. Sometimes nations are helping, mostly they're promising to come, but this is a matter of time. If you cannot record this, if you cannot prove that these atrocities were committed, in the months, they will be too late. We won't be able to prove. And we want to have a purely international, open process, not just Ukrainians, everybody. I know that I've seen the French prosecutors and investigators on the Ukrainian ground already. We had initial conversation with your people. They're still there. We will still have to, you know, I understand it is still war. It is a very active military campaigns. We don't want to put people into danger. But in the places where we already freed and all of these atrocities, all of this was happening, we have to have somebody to help, to come and show, even in the media, to show that these activities are ongoing.
And have you received support from the British in that regard?
There was discussion initial that you would send people knowledgeable people, investigators, who would be able to come and help us record this. Last time I checked, it already was still in the stage of agreements.
So what would you say to the British government about that?
I would like them to find a way to send the investigators as French did.
And that would be an appeal directly to our President?
No, our Prosecutor General was talking to the prosecutors here. We had a visit to Minister of Justice just this Monday. We were discussing with your State Secretary the same. I understand that the changes of government, they are not helping promote many of these projects. Many of them were put on hold. So we were trying to get back to the attention of authorities.
How concerned are you about nuclear weapons? The President says he's not joking. He's not bluffing.
First of all, that somebody saying that's not bluffing, most probably they are bluffing. And I understand that this is one thing about the nuclear weapons, that many people believe that we have to stop right now, whenever we are, and do whatever Putin wants from us, because it is so dangerous for the whole planet. We understand, we realize. If anybody in this world understands what nuclear disaster is, Ukrainians, maybe Japanese, so we do know, that don't have to be told. What we're also observing in our papers, that people actually are discussing how to survive the nuclear blast, where to call if you send your kid to school and kindergarten and then there was nuclear strike, where to find. All these life hacks, how to survive the blast. So people are actually discussing, which is quite strange. I mean, even observing from this peaceful nation, it's quite strange that people are actually discussing this. But Ukrainians prepared even for such a horrible event.
Mm-hmm. When I was just as a sidebar, when I was reading the news about what happened in Thailand, I saw that you were shaking your head in dismay.
I just cannot believe, that something is always happening on such a level of atrocity. That somebody is just coming to kill. We were surviving, trying to survive over half a year, and in some other nations, people just coming and killing kids. We lost more than 400 of kids already.
Thank you very much for joining us. Always
Thank you.
A pleasure to see you. Thank you very much indeed.